Unlike money and knowledge, time is the one resource in life that we can't hold on to. Time comes and it goes. It can never be captured nor accumulated. Once spent, time can never be recovered again. That is why, knowing how to spend our time well is an important skill to master, and the book The Time Trap by Alec Mackenzie and Pat Nickerson is a classic book about time management. The book examines different ways that we can lose time and, as a result, be unable to accomplish our goals. It discusses issues such as distractions, the need to prioritize, and common time wasters. While many of these issues are discussed in the work context, we have summarized 3 takeaways from the time trap that are applicable to just about anyone. Here are 3 lessons from the time trap. One of the best ways to focus how you spend your time is to start each day by identifying 3 big tasks that you'd like to accomplish for the day. These should be the most important things that you need to accomplish, regardless of anything else that comes along your way. Set down these 3 big tasks before you even check your email at the start of the day. This will allow you to focus on your priorities, rather than being distracted by other people's priorities that may come in through emails. If you find it difficult to find time at the start of the day to do this, you can even plan out your big 3 tasks the night before. Make setting the big 3 the last thing that you need to do before you knock off for the day. A good way to determine what your 3 big tasks should be is to distinguish between important and urgent tasks. An important task is something you can look back on at the end of the year and, on hindsight, agree that it was worth the investment of your time and effort. An urgent task is something which is an emergency to some, but not all. If you can distinguish between what are important and urgent tasks in your life, you will then have a framework for deciding the top priorities for each day, and how to spend your time wisely. Once you have your top 3 priorities for the day, keep it top of mind by creating a visual reminder of what you need to do. This visual cue can be as simple as a sticky note on the computer monitor at eye level, or an alarm on your phone which acts as a reminder. Having a system in place will help you stay on track to complete your 3 big tasks every day. A distraction that can hinder your ability to accomplish your important tasks is having your time hijacked by others. When we receive ad hoc requests from others, for many of us, it is instinctive to want to say yes. We do so because we want to be kind, or help others out. 80% of the time, this is the correct response. However, there is the other 20% when we get random requests from others to do things which are not aligned to our personal objectives. Accepting this 20% of requests can become a time trap which prevents us from doing what is most important to us. Sometimes, last-minute requests may result from others' neglect, or they could be requests to do things which are technically not possible. It could be a request which is of minor value, but appears highly urgent. Or, the worst type of interruption is when someone tries to palm off tedious work to you, just so they can get out of it themselves. If you find yourself in such situations, no is an acceptable answer, and it is possible to put it across to the other person in a way that does not damage the relationship with the person. The first step is, avoid saying an outright no. This will only get the other person's defenses up. Instead, respond by identifying a risk to them for taking a certain course of action, or provide alternative options to them. Even if you do get blindsided by an unreasonable request, you can buy time to come up with alternatives. Take a pause, and don't be afraid of awkward silence. If you need to, say that you can only decide later, as you will need to look into your existing commitments first. If it is truly urgent, the requester may even find it faster to look for someone else to deal with it instead. Remember, don't be afraid to say no, but convey it in a thoughtful way. Another common time trap is procrastination. This manifests itself as either, I can't get started, or, I can't complete the task. In other words, people stumble because of inertia. Their tasks fail to get started or they give up halfway. The solution to procrastination is both simple and obvious. It is to keep an intense focus on a task, from start to finish. However, this can be hard to do in practice, especially when there are distractions flooding in throughout the day. In order to overcome procrastination, 3 conditions need to be in place. These are to have a clear and compelling goal to motivate the desire to finish the task, having a priority system to focus on what is important and not on what is urgent, and having a set of alarm bells that will trigger off if we wander off task. Let's assume that you have a goal to run a marathon in 6 months. To achieve this, you determine that you need to run regularly, at least 3 times a week for a start. To keep this goal visible, you can create a sign and hang it by the door to remind you to run. However, you may be tempted to skip your training sessions, especially if something urgent comes up. In order to create a trigger, you can keep a jar by the door and put $1 each time you miss a training session. If you find the jar filling up, this is a clear warning that you are off track. This is a simple example of setting goals and having systems with trigger warnings to avoid procrastination. Putting in place goals and systems will allow you to complete any project or tasks that you set out to do. To summarize, the 3 lessons on time management from the time trap are to set aside 3 big tasks for each day. Distinguish between important and urgent tasks. Once you have settled on the tasks, keep them in a visible place to remind you to focus on them throughout the day. Find a way to say no to external tasks which interrupt your day. Avoid saying no outright, which may raise the other party's defenses. Instead, highlight the consequences from certain actions, or suggest alternative options. Finally, avoid procrastinating on a task. Instead, have a clear goal in mind and set up a system with trigger warnings to keep you on track. Use these lessons to avoid time traps and to focus on accomplishing what is important to you.